We are careening toward a horizon that the average consumer refuses to acknowledge. The year 2026 looms not just as a calendar date, but as a potential singularity for logistical supply chains and legislative strangulation. The era of casual ownership is dying. We are entering the age of the desperate professional. If you are not currently equipping yourself with deep concealment assets that can vanish on your person while retaining lethal mechanical fidelity, you are essentially volunteering to be a statistic. The firearm industry knows this, which is why the shift toward micro-compacts isn't a trend, it is a survival reflex. They are miniaturizing violence because the future demands that you be armed, yet invisible. The gray man doctrine is no longer a theory. It is a mandatory lifestyle for those who intend to survive the societal friction ahead. However, the market is flooded with polymer toys designed for the lowest common denominator. To navigate this landscape, we must surgically dissect the machinery. We are not here to discuss what looks good in a glass display case. We are here to analyze dwell times, metallurgical composition, lockup geometry, and the unforgiving physics of kinetic energy transfer from sub-3-inch barrels. Most of these platforms compromise somewhere, be it in capacity, shootability, or the catastrophic failure points hidden inside their trigger linkages. You need to understand these trade-offs because ignorance in a high-stress scenario results in a click when you desperately need a bang. What follows is not a list of recommendations, it is a dossier of the few micro-platforms that might actually justify their weight in precious metals. We are stripping away the marketing veneer to expose the raw engineering beneath. From the complexities of reverse-feed bullpups to the brutal simplicity of single-action revolvers, every mechanism here has a specific tactical application and a fatal flaw. If you are serious about retention, ballistics, and the preservation of life when the social contract collapses, pay close attention. This is the hardware that will determine who dictates the outcome of an asymmetric confrontation. Number 1. North American Arms, 22 short. To the uninitiated, the North American Arms 22 short appears to be a novelty, a piece of lethal jewelry. This assessment is a fatal error. This is a masterclass in 17-4 pH stainless steel machining, a monolithic block of metallurgy designed to disappear into the deepest recesses of your clothing. It is the ultimate get-off-me tool, operating on a single-action mechanism that requires deliberate, cognitive intent to deploy. The hammer geometry features a heavy spur that demands a distinct racking motion, a feature that eliminates the need for a trigger guard. This is not a bug, it is a feature of extreme minimalism. By removing the guard, NAA has created a profile that breaks up the visual signature of a firearm entirely, allowing it to hide in plain sight where polymer micro-compacts would print aggressively. Mechanically, the cylinder lockup is where the genius lies. The safety slots machined between the chambers allow the hammer to rest safely between rounds, a critical fail-safe for a weapon that will likely tumble around in a pocket full of lint and debris. However, do not mistake this for a primary offensive weapon. The barrel length is negligible, meaning ballistics are entirely dependent on powder burn rates that occur outside the muzzle. You are not aiming this, you are thrusting it into contact distance. The laminated rosewood grips are secured by single slender screw, a potential weak point under long-term vibration, requiring thread locker and vigilance. The secret flaw here is the reloading process. It requires the removal of the cylinder pin and the cylinder itself. In a 2026 survival scenario, if you expend your 5 rounds, this weapon becomes a simplified set of brass knuckles. There is no tactical reload. There is no malfunction clearance. It is 5 rounds of rimfire fury delivered at breath-smelling distance, and then it is a paperweight. Yet, the finished polished flats and matte curves suggest an heirloom quality that polymer guns will never achieve. It is a watchmaker's gun, requiring a shooter who respects the limitation of the machinery. Number 2. Bond Arms Bullpup 9. This platform represents the most controversial engineering departure in the subcompact world. Originally, the Boberg XR9, Bond Arms acquired the design to continue the lineage of the reverse feed mechanism. This is not standard blowback or short recoil operation. The Bullpup 9 utilizes a pair of tongs to pull the cartridge backward out of the magazine before lifting it into the chamber. This complexity allows for a 3.35-inch barrel longer than many competitors to sit within a chassis that is only 5.1 inches long. By placing the chamber further back over the grip, you gain ballistic velocity without adding concealability, liability. It is a triumph of physics, squeezing superior terminal ballistics out of a footprint that rivals the smallest 380 seconds. However, this engineering marvel comes with a brutal reality check regarding ammunition sensitivity. The violent rearward acceleration of the round being pulled from the magazine can cause crimp jump, where the bullet separates from the casing before it even chambers. causing a catastrophic malfunction. This weapon demands premium, high-crimp, defensive ammunition. If you feed it cheap range trash, it will choke. This makes it a weapon for the affluent professional who can afford to test hundreds of dollars of carry ammo to verify reliability. The rotating barrel lockup system absorbs recoil energy through torque, making it shoot surprisingly flat for its size, mitigating the muzzle flip that plagues the Glock 43. The ergonomics are defined by the engraved rosewood scales, which provide a tactile anchor, but the beaver tail is minimal. The trigger is a smooth, double-action-only rolling brake, devoid of the grit found in striker-fired systems, but it requires a long, deliberate pull. The controversy lies in its complexity. In a torture test involving mud or sand, the exposed open-back magazine well and the delicate feed tongs are liabilities. This is a sterile environment assassin's tool, not a trench warfare sidearm. It offers maximum power density but demands a maintenance schedule that most casual shooters are too lazy to uphold. Number 3. Kimber Micro 9. The Kimber Micro 9 is the result of shrinking the legendary 1911 architecture into a package that defies the original Browning design's intent. It is the Cadillac option, utilizing an aluminum frame to shave weight while retaining a steel slide for structural rigidity. The result is a two-tone aesthetic that screams luxury, but don't let the finish fool you. The tolerances are tight. This tightness creates a weapon that is incredibly accurate for its size, thanks to a single-action trigger that breaks like a glass rod. Unlike the mushy plastic feel of a striker-fired safety trigger, the Micro 9 offers a direct, crisp connection to the sear, allowing for precision shots that simply shouldn't be possible with a barrel this short. Yet, adherence to the 1911 chassis brings inherent snag points. The prominent beaver tail, the manual thumb safety, and the exposed hammer are all surfaces that can catch on clothing during a high-stress draw from deep concealment. Furthermore, the manual of arms requires Condition 1, carry cocked and locked. For the modern shooter raised on Glocks, remembering to sweep the safety off under adrenaline-dump conditions is a training scar that must be overcome with thousands of repetitions. Failure to disengage that safety means you are dead in the water. From a material standpoint, the aluminum frame will show wear faster than polymer or steel if run dry. The secret flaw of the Micro 9 is its susceptibility to limp wristing. The recoil spring is tuned aggressively to manage the 9mm impulse in such a light slide. If your grip is not vice-like, the slide will fail to cycle fully, resulting in a stovepipe jam. This is a weapon for the expert marksman who understands grip mechanics, not for the novice seeking a point-and-click interface. It demands lubrication, respect, and a firm hand. Number 4. Springfield 911 Compact. Springfield Armory's answer to the Micro 1911 sector, the 911 Compact, is an aggressive iteration of the concept, directly challenging the SIG P238 and P938 dominance. The standout feature here is the G10 grip texture. Unlike the smooth wood of the Kimber or the plastic of a Ruger, the G10 scales are aggressive, biting into the hand to lock the weapon in place during the violent recoil snap of a Micro 9mm. This friction is essential because at 12.6 ounces, the physics of recoil are working against you. The inclusion of Ameriglow ProGlow tritium sights as a standard feature is a massive tactical advantage, acknowledging that most defensive encounters occur in low-light environments. Where the Springfield deviates from the traditional 1911 lineage is the omission of the grip safety. This simplifies the internal mechanism and removes a potential failure point if a perfect firing grip isn't achieved, a common occurrence in a chaotic struggle. However, it places total reliance on the manual thumb safety. The controls are ambidextrous, catering to left-handed shooters or weak-hand transitions, a thoughtful addition for a survival scenario where your primary hand may be injured. The 416 stainless steel slide offers superior corrosion resistance, a non-negotiable trait for a gun carried against the body's sweat daily. The brutal reality of the 911 is its capacity limitation. Feeding from a 6 or 7 round single-stack magazine puts you at a severe disadvantage against modern stack-and-a-half micro-compacts like the Hellcat or P365. You are trading volume of fire for slimness and trigger quality. In a 2026 breakdown, where spare magazines may be scarce, low capacity is a liability. This weapon requires you to end the fight in the first 3 seconds. If you are in a protracted gunfight with a Springfield 911, you have already made a series of tactical errors. Number 5. LWS C-Camp 32. For 3 decades, the LWS C-Camp 32 was the holy grail of deep concealment, and it remains a mechanical curiosity that defies modern manufacturing trends. This is a hand-fitted, all-stainless steel paradox. It operates on a unique chamber ring delayed blowback system. To retard the slide's opening velocity, C-Camp engineers machined a ring inside the chamber. When the cartridge fires, the brass casing expands into this ring, mechanically seizing the case against the chamber walls for a microsecond until pressure drops. This allows for a slide that is incredibly small and light without battering the frame to pieces. It is a brilliant, albeit ammunition-sensitive, solution. The C-Camp is the definition of a belly gun. It has no sights. None. The philosophy is that if you need sights, you shouldn't be using a C-Camp. It is designed for point shooting at contact distances. The double-action trigger is heavy but smooth, acting as the only safety mechanism. The magazine disconnect is a controversial feature. The gun becomes a paperweight if the magazine is dropped or unseated, which can happen if the magazine release located at the heel of the grip is bumped. This heel release makes tactical reloads agonizingly slow. You do not reload a C-Camp in a fight. You carry a second gun. The uncomfortable truth about the C-Camp is its ammunition intolerance. Historically, it was designed solely around the Winchester Silvertip hollow point. While modern iterations are slightly more forgiving, the overall length of the cartridge is critical. If a round is too long, it physically will not fit in the magazine. This logistical constraint is a nightmare for the 2026 prepper. If you cannot scavenge ammo and run it, the gun is useless. However, for those who cultivate a stockpile of specific .32 ACP, the C-Camp offers a density of quality that makes polymer guns feel like vending machine toys. Number 6. Standard manufacturing switch gun. The standard manufacturing switch gun is what happens when engineering meets the distinct need for non-permissive environment carry. It is a folding revolver, a concept that dates back to the late 19th century but modernized with CNC machining and polymer. When folded, the grip encapsulates the trigger guard entirely, rendering the weapon inert and safe in a pocket, mimicking the footprint of a large smartphone or a wallet. The deployment mechanism is spring-loaded. A depress of the button snaps the grip open, readying the weapon for immediate violence. This transformation is psychological as much as it is mechanical. It goes from harmless object to lethal tool in a split second. Chambered in .22 Magnum, the switch gun relies on the velocity of the rimfire Magnum cartridge. However, out of a 0.8 8-inch barrel, you are losing a massive percentage of that powder burn to muzzle flash and noise. The terminal ballistics are nasty, but erratic. The keyholing bullets is a real risk with barrels this short. The handle, when deployed, is surprisingly large, offering a full firing grip that mimics a full-size revolver, providing stability that the NAA mini revolvers lack. This allows for a degree of accuracy that belies its gimmick-like appearance. The critical failure point here is the complexity of the hinge under combat stress. While the CNC machined stainless steel frame is robust, introducing a folding mechanism introduces a point of structural weakness and a fine motor skill requirement to deploy. If your hands are covered in blood or sweat, or if you are grappling with an attacker, hitting that deployment button is not guaranteed. It is a specialist tool designed for the element of surprise, not for a prolonged exchange of fire. It is the weapon you carry when you cannot carry a weapon. Number 7. Bond Arms Backup. The Bond Arms Backup takes the Derringer concept and injects it with steroids and modern metallurgy. Chambered in .45 ACP, this weapon is an exercise in physics denial. Firing a standard pressure .45 ACP round from a rigid, non-reciprocating frame that weighs only 18 to 20 ounces results in a recoil impulse that is best described as punishing. The bead-blasted anti-glare barrel and the black crinkle powder coat frame give it a rugged, industrial aesthetic that resists corrosion and wear, but the texture does little to mitigate the shock to the web of the hand. The mechanism features a rebounding hammer and retracting firing pins, a safety evolution that prevents the weapon from firing if dropped on the hammer, a notorious flaw of older Derringer designs. The crossbolt safety adds another layer of security, though it can be difficult to manipulate under stress. The cammed locking lever is robust, locking the barrels down tight against the breech face, ensuring that the high-pressure explosion occurs safely inches from your face. The tactical reality of the backup is severe. You have 2 shots. That is it. The reload involves flipping a lever, breaking the action open, manually extracting shells, which may stick due to expansion, and inserting 2 more. In a modern gunfight, this is an eternity. This weapon is strictly a last-ditch contingency. It is built to survive nuclear fallout, constructed of stainless steel castings that will outlast the user, but its utility is limited to point-blank defense. It is for the shooter who trusts the stopping power of a .45 implicitly and accepts the limitation of having only 2 opportunities to solve the problem. Number 8. Ruger LCP-2 Ruger's decision to chamber the popular LCP-2 platform in .22 long rifle was not just about creating a plinker, it was about acknowledging the demographic of shooters who cannot manage the snap of a 380. By utilizing the light rack system, the slide manipulation force is negligible, allowing those with arthritis or weak grip strength to effectively cycle the weapon. While many scoff at .22 LR for self-defense, the LCP-2 offers 10+1 capacity in a platform with virtually 0 recoil. This allows for a swarm doctrine, placing 10 rounds into a threat's ocular window in under 2 seconds. Accuracy through volume? Technically, unlike its locked breech 380 Big Brother, the .22 version operates on a straight blowback system. The barrel is fixed to the frame, which inherently aids in accuracy. However, rimfire ammunition is notoriously unreliable compared to centerfire. Ruger has mitigated this with a heavier firing pin strike and improved extraction geometry, but the click instead of bang remains a statistical probability that is higher with this caliber. The manual thumb safety is push forward, which is intuitive but tiny. The 2026 perspective on this weapon is interesting. .22 LR is the most common ammunition on the planet. In a scarcity scenario, this pistol is the easiest to keep fed. It can serve as a small game getter for survival and a defensive tool against two-legged predators if shot placement is surgical. It fails every FBI penetration test through denim and gelatin, but it succeeds in the test of having a gun when you need one. It is a training aid that doubles as a desperate measure, bridging the gap between practice and survival. Number 9. Smith & Wesson M&P Bodyguard 380. The Smith & Wesson M&P Bodyguard 380 is the utilitarian workhorse of this list. It eschews the beauty of the Kimber and the novelty of the switch gun for pure, unadulterated function. The polymer frame is reinforced with stainless steel inserts, and the slide and barrel are treated with S&W's Armornite finish, a melanite process that makes the steel harder than the tool used to cut it. This gun is designed to live in a sweaty waistband for years without rusting. The ergonomics feature high-strength polymer with fish-scale serrations, allowing for a positive purchase even in wet conditions. The polarizing feature and the source of much internet vitriol is the trigger. It is a heavy, long, double-action only pull, often exceeding 9 pounds. YouTube critics hate it, but in a high-adrenaline defensive situation where fine motor skills evaporate, this heavy trigger serves as a critical check against negligent discharges. You will not fire this gun by accident. It requires intent. Second strike capability is a massive advantage. If a hard primer fails to ignite, you simply pull the trigger again rather than having to rack the slide, a feature that can save your life in close quarters. The integrated laser on many models and the drift-adjustable iron sights provide aiming solutions that are rare in this class. While the laser is often dismissed as a gimmick, in an off-balance, non-standard shooting position where you cannot align your eye behind the sights, the red dot on the target is a valid aiming index. The Bodyguard is not fun to shoot. It snaps, it bites, and the trigger is a chore, but it is relentlessly reliable. It is the cockroach of pocket pistols, ugly, tough, and capable of surviving environments that would kill a lesser machine. The landscape of personal defense is shifting beneath our feet. The weapons detailed above are not merely consumer products, they are life support systems for a society that is becoming increasingly hostile to the unprepared. Do not make the mistake of buying one of these platforms and letting it gather dust in a safe. A micro-compact pistol requires a higher degree of proficiency than a full-size service weapon. The sight radius is shorter, the recoil is sharper, and the margin for error is non-existent. You need to train until the manual of arms is etched into your autonomic nervous system. You need to understand the metallurgical limits of your chosen tool. The year 2026 is approaching, and with it comes the realization that no one is coming to save you. You are your own first responder. Choose your hardware wisely, maintain it religiously, and train with the intensity of someone who knows the stakes.